Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's the first day of March 2025. How's
Good
everyone doing this morning?
morning.
Good
Good
morning.
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 Wow. So for those of us in Michigan, I think the months got mixed up. We were supposed to transition from February into March and get nicer weather. I think it got things backwards and transitions from February into January. If you've stepped outside this morning, you know what I'm talking about. But hey, that's all things weather related. It is warm inside our Voices of Health Point weekly session here. For those that are on here for the first time, the format is pretty loose and fun. We do have some docket items. I'm going to go through that here shortly, but it's really about the tapestry of everyone on here. And if you want to, be part of the round robin discussion, we invite you. You can be on camera, off camera. Obviously, if you want to say something, you've got to be on mic at a minimum. But we welcome you, and we'll go for about an hour. This will be uploaded to the Voices of Health Point. This will be uploaded to the Voices of Health Point YouTube channel. So if you're not brisk and ready in Saturday morning, you can obviously catch it on the recording. So just to tee up some docket items, I'm going to get into something that Carol and I discussed a little bit when her and I were dialoguing on our Monday night session, and that is on what's called TTM, trans-theoretical model of change. So I'll unpack that because we're in a thing of behavior, right? Then we've got Kathy. Many of us know Kathy as a step queen, and those that are in an active 6-week cycle program are in their second cohort, so their second cycle, and no better person to learn about that progression of building your daily step count than the step queen herself. And we'll hear where she's at and kind of some tips and tricks on that. And then Carol is going to cover a brand new kind of iteration of a program that's really tremendous because we've got world-class, best-in-class products and as part of the HealthPointe program, and nothing better than getting some free money when it comes to kind of doing some things that you might normally do anyway. So Carol is going to unpack that program on free money for customers, okay, for registered customers. So excited to hear about that. So with that, let me get right into my segment. And this, just to give a little bit of context on this, there's been two things that have really informed me on this space. One was actually Mike Wilson. And for those of us that are active business builders, we know of the legendary Mike Wilson. And I was sitting in a seminar and he was giving a talk, and he mentioned a book called, the title, very provocative title, and it's like an orangish red book, so it's very provocative color. And the title is Change or Die. Wow, how's that? And it's by Alan Deutschman, and it walks through these case studies on change, and whether it's with an individual or within organizations, whether it's in prison systems and recidivism, and that whole thing of the human condition and change and the science of that, and how it can be hard and misunderstood and so forth. That was very informative. And I'm so appreciative to Mike Wilson and Network 21 for having people like him. And then more recently, in some programs I'm involved in, I've learned more about this in specifically what's called the trans-theoretical model of change. Sounds complex, but I think if you listen to this and layer it into your own experience of what you experience when you try to make change, and layer it over where you're maybe working with somebody, certainly if you're a coach or you're being anyway influential, trying to be influential on somebody that's trying to make health and wellness changes, kind of layer that over. And I think you might recognize some of these areas. So with that, let's dive into things. The trans-theoretical model of change, or TTM, is one of the most widely used and well-researched frameworks for understanding how people change behavior over time. Developed by psychologists James Prochaska and Carlo Di Clemente in the late 1970s and early 1980s, TTM emerged from research on smoking cessation, but its application has expanded into virtually every area of health and wellness, including weight loss, exercise adherence, nutrition, chronic disease management, and even mental health interventions. TTM is unique in that it does not view behavior change as a single event, but rather as a process that unfolds over time. Unlike outdated models that assume people either want to change or don't, TTM acknowledges that change occurs in stages and that people can move forward, backward, or even remain in a particular stage for long periods of time. The model is considered evidence-based with decades of research supporting its use in diverse populations. At its core, TTM consists of 6 stages of change. Number 1, pre-contemplation. The person in this stage is not yet considering change. They may be unaware of the problem, resistant to change, or have tried and failed in the past and given up. Stage number 2, contemplation. The person is aware of the need for change, but remains ambivalent. They weigh the pros and cons of making the change, but have not yet committed. Stage number 3, preparation. The person has made the decision to change and is taking small steps towards action. They might be gathering information, setting goals, or making initial efforts. Stage number 4, action. The person actively engages in behavior change, implementing new habits and making conscious efforts to stick with them. This stage is visible, measurable, and effortful. Stage number 5, maintenance. The person sustains the change over time, working to prevent relapse and reinforce new habits. This stage can last months or even years. Last stage, number 6, termination. And Carol, this is what you and I chatted about on last Monday. But the final termination, the final stage where the chain has become so ingrained that relapse is no longer a concern. For some behaviors like weight management or addiction, termination may never fully apply, but for others, such as learning a new habit, it is achievable. People rarely progress through these steps in a linear fashion. Instead, they move forward and backward based on various factors such as stress, social influence, environmental triggers, and personal motivation. For example, someone might be trying to lose weight. Someone trying to lose weight might move from contemplation to preparation by joining a program like HealthPointe or researching dietary strategies. However, they might regress to contemplation if they experience setbacks, cravings, or social pressures. Understanding this fluidity is crucial for coaches and those guiding others because it helps them avoid frustration or forcefulness when working with people at different levels of readiness. A coach who assumes everything is in the action stage may come across as aggressive or unhelpful to someone still in the pre-contemplation or contemplation stage. The biggest mistake many health and wellness coaches make is assuming people are ready to change when they are not. Understanding where a person is on the TTM model allows a coach to tailor their approach. For example, someone's in pre-contemplation, the goal is raising awareness rather than pushing immediate action. Coaches might educate, ask questions, and plant seeds for future change. For contemplation stage, the goal is to help the person weigh the pros and cons and address ambivalence without pressure. In the preparation stage, the goal is to support planning and build confidence in taking the next steps. In the action stage, the goal is to reinforce progress, celebrate wins, and provide structure. And for the maintenance, the focus shifts to sustaining motivation, preventing relapse, and reinforcing identity shifts. A coach who lacks this knowledge might attempt to push someone in the contemplation into action before they are ready, leading to resistance, failure, or burnout. TTM is particularly useful in weight loss and metabolic health because these behaviors require long-term change rather than quick fixes. Consider a person struggling with weight management. In pre-contemplation, they may believe their weight isn't a problem or feel hopeless about change. If they're in contemplation, they start researching or watching weight loss success stories, but don't take action yet. In preparation, they set a goal, buy healthy food, or join a structured program like HealthPointe. If they're in the action stage, they actively follow the meal plan, exercise consistently, and track their progress. And in the maintenance phase, they have integrated healthy habits, but still require support to mitigate those relapsing. Understanding TTM helps coaches and other influential people support individuals at each stage rather than assuming everyone is ready for immediate transformation. One of the most important aspects of TTM is recognition of relapse as a natural part of change. Many people attempting weight loss or lifestyle changes will fall back into old habits. The key is not to view relapse as failure, but rather as a normal part of the process. Instead of starting over, individuals should analyze what led to the relapse and use it as a learning opportunity to move forward. Coaches who understand this can help clients reframe setbacks rather than let them spiral into self-blame and giving up. This approach fosters resilience and long-term adherence. For those who help others, the biggest takeaway from TTM is that change is a process, not an event. Here's how to apply TTM effectively. Identify where someone is in the change process before offering guidance. Match interventions to their stage. Don't push action on someone in contemplation. Recognize that people move in and out of stages and that relapse is normal. Use motivational interviewing techniques to help people explore their readiness to change. And we can talk about motivational or what's called MI maybe later. Encourage self-efficacy. Help people believe they have the power to change. That's a big one, self-efficacy. Understand that lasting change takes time and be patient with the process. The trans-theoretical model of change is one of the most powerful frameworks for understanding and guiding behavior change. Whether you are on your own health journey or helping others, recognizing that change occurs in stages rather than overnight can help you be more effective, compassionate, and strategic in your approach. By embracing TTM, health and wellness coaches and individuals can better navigate the complexity of human behavior, leading to greater success in long-term health improvements. Okay, so I'll wrap with that and of course, open it up to anybody that has any thoughts or questions or comments on that. I know many of us, and I know Carol, you often reference this, many of us think in visuals, right? When we're learning something, and a visual that was kind of shared in learning about TTM, and then an additional one is, I think a lot of, well, I'll just speak for myself, and that is that the visual is to visualize the 6 stages of TTM as like a spiral. Maybe think of like a spiraling staircase going up and up, and it's kind of phases into one phase and the other through these 6. And people are going up that spiral. They're maybe coming down a little bit. They're going back up. They're coming down, but it's this spiral versus prior to having an understanding of this. And by the way, I don't think you need a PhD in trans-theoretical model in order to intuitively, if you've done this enough, just be empathetic to people, and you learn a kind of a empathy, particularly if you've done the program yourself, which most every HealthPointe coach has. You have this instinctive, natural empathy and understanding. This just puts some more definition and structure to it. But prior to really identifying with this and that spiral trans-theoretical model of change, kind of like a spiral climbing staircase, I think a lot of us can think of it more like a light switch on the wall. You're either on or you're off. You're either up or you're down, and it's very binary. And the evidence suggests that's not how we operate. So if we are working with ourselves, either we're on or we're off. It's pretty harsh on ourselves. If we're working with others and you expect them to either be your worldview, your frame is either they're on or they're off, that can be pretty harsh and, more importantly, kind of ineffective. So it's the stages of the transtheoretical model that I think is definitely key. Okay. Anybody else or thoughts, comments?
Well,
Or
I personally, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Carol.
Was there somebody else who wanted to say something?
Nope, it's you, Carol.
Oh, okay. I love that article. And for anybody that is coaching, actively coaching, or even maybe actively going through the program, I think the article is so good because it spells out exactly the process. I'm going to stop here in just a moment. Good morning. I'm going to get under a tree here. In actively coaching new people now myself over these last few months, I just see so much of what you talked about there, Eric, in the article. And sometimes we just want to jump ahead to where we are and not step back to where they are. And there's a little one-liner that I heard years ago, and it's kind of relative to a lot of areas of life, and it's meet them where they're at and then take them where they want to go. Not you want to go, but where they want to go. And I think that that article brings it out really, really well. That is a process. And one of the things that I've been chatting with Eric about, and I'm encouraging people to do, is as they're moving along in their HealthPointe, especially as they're going through cohort 2 or 3, they've already done one full cycle, and now they're starting to make it a little bit more part of their lifestyle. And perhaps they get maybe a little stuck, or if for all of us monomaniacal people that have scales that do, plus 0.2 ounces up or down, that I think the chart concept, and you can do that as simply as just putting it on paper. And one of the things that I like to do with folks, because I'm a very simplistic person when it comes to reporting, is I just send them the sheet, and I believe it's either Eileen put it together or it's right in the journal. And it's just a PDF that shows every day, what their starting weight is originally, and then every day up and down, up and down. But then take that and do a visual and make a little simple chart so that they can see that even though they're going up and down, overall, they're going in the direction that they want to go, which is very encouraging to people, because when you get on a day-to-day accountability, and you have to be showing somebody, that you were up or you were down, or what you did right or what you did wrong. I mean, that is a very transparent person, a person that will do that. And it's wonderful because it really exemplifies trust in the coach, that there is no judgment. This is not a judgment zone. This is a zone where we want to help you be the best that you can be and help you along the way to establish those habits. And I think this article really brings that out very, very well. And the other thing that I like to do with people is when they're doing the weight chart is I say maybe, once a week or so, take your measurements and see if your measurements have changed and how much inches you've lost. And of course, at the beginning of your journal, it shows you how to weigh, how to measure yourself. And I think that's really good too, because sometimes people will lose more in inches than they will actually on the scale, especially on a day-to-day basis. And so I think that's another positive. And then I think tying in with what you were saying there, Eric, every time that people check in with you every day, and I think that's first. I'm a firm believer of everyday check-in. That just works best for me. But I would say that when they check in, always look for something. They'll find the thing they did bad, and many times they'll even address it to you. You find something that they did good, and keep encouraging them. You build on the good, and then if they did something bad or they made a poor choice, you might say, you flubbed up. No, you don't say that. What you might say is, you addressed blah, blah, blah. One area that I found people found helpful was to take that particular food choice and instead replace it with this. You might want to try that. That might help you. And it gives them a constructive idea rather than focusing in on what they might have done wrong, which is probably pretty minimal anyway. So I think that in actively coaching, as I'm listening to that article, it just brings in so many really good points. So thank you for that, Eric. That's a really good article.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for, those are all really great layering over of this TTM model, real life examples and suggestions and situations. And that's what this is all about. Any other thoughts on this specific content? I think I see someone, David, yes.
And so that was excellent. Actually, I was with Kathy Munoz, and
really
I think she had 7 people that she's working with, and they're in probably each one of those stages. And so I think that what you shared was helpful for guiding people. But the other part, I think, is as teachers, we can be judgmental on ourselves, that we should be a better teacher, and I should be able to push these people through the process faster. And so as a teacher, to give ourselves some grace and to realize that it is a process, and it is, like you said, an up and down process, and our journey is to help them over time. And so thank you very much. Oh, one more thing, and that is, I think what you shared with us also helps us. We're in a business of influencing others, and the better we can get trust and influence others, the more effective we will be in our journey as a teacher in helping others. And understanding those stages will help you to know where to focus your influence versus creating irritations. Fantastic.
That's a really great insights, David. And yeah, I I think you nailed it there with your statement with, if we can recognize where on that staircase, people are, I think is what I hear you saying, and then applying the right tool for that right stage is not only more effective, but we're just, nobody wants to be irritating someone, inadvertently. Everybody has the best of intentions, a good heart and good intentions, but you still can, understanding some, when to use the right tool at the right time. You could have the right tool, but if you're applying it in that tool in stage 1, when that tool only applies in stage 5, then, that can be detrimental. So yeah, great points, David.
And I was going to say, Eric, thank you again, as always, for bringing us the awesome information that you do. But I do definitely like it, because in coaching, some people, they do get so hard on themselves right away. And, and I try to tell them, well, this is a journey, and, okay, so today didn't go well, tomorrow's a brand new day. But I really like, this article, especially talking about the staircase and everything, because now I have something that I can give them a visual and say, you're on this spiral staircase. You might go up a little, you might go down a little, but you're just going to keep climbing, and it's going to be a little twisty and turvy around the way. But so again, you might have thought to say that, but until I heard this, it didn't cement it. So thank you.
Yeah.
I think sometimes asking a person question too, because if they send you their sheets and they're not happy, and they make a comment about not being happy for whatever, and they'll usually pinpoint something. A good question would be, okay, well, that's fine. So tell me what you feel has to change here for you to get a better result for yourself. And then what it does is it puts, instead of just telling them what to do, which is a fault of mine, it is asking them, what do they feel could get them a better result. Or when this happened yesterday, let's say you have another day like that, where do you think you can kind of cut it off at the pass to get a better result? And then just keep your mouth shut and listen to them. Let them think.
You know, what you just did there, Carol, is, and I know you say, and we all kind of self-reflect and say, well, maybe we tell people too much, but actually what I experience, and I think a lot of us have experienced in working with you, is that you very much are asking questions. And that's also what you just did right there. And I just want to double click on that and emphasize that at its core, we, for someone to be able to get into their ideal state of health and wellness with their own agency, with under their own power, if that's the goal in mind, so that they have reached a place where they are at their goal of health and wellness, then no amount of us telling them it really achieves that, because we have to be constantly telling them. It's about empowering them and asking them and letting them drive the car, so to speak. They're in the driver's seat. And Carol, you just illustrated, in your example, and it's so natural for you just to kind of let that roll off your tongue, because that, in my experience, is how you have conversations, is you're asking questions. And it is so, I mentioned in the segment, there was a spot where it mentioned about motivational interviewing. Okay. Sometimes, these terminologies, they're helpful, but sometimes you just kind of have an intuition about it. But let me just, I have a short Q&A, example here of motivational interviewing for somebody that is in that contemplation stage. And let me just walk through that. And I think you'll hear kind of what you just did, Carol. And so here it is. So let's say the coach, it says, and this is for somebody that's in the contemplation stage, right? They're in that early stage, they're not at action. Okay. The coach, it sounds like you've been thinking about making some changes to your diet and exercise, but you're not quite sure if now is the right time. What are some of the reasons you're considering making a change? Okay. Again, like Carol just did, ask them what's important to them, leading with questions, not tell, ask, and let them build their own agency and empower themselves. So then the client might say, well, I know I need to lose weight for my health, but I've tried before and I always fall back into old habits. The coach, well, that makes sense. Change can be tough, especially when past attempts didn't work the way you had hoped. On one hand, you see the benefits of losing weight for your health, and on the other hand, you're concerned about whether you can stick with it long term. Would you say that that's accurate? Okay. Yeah, exactly, they say. So if we look at past attempts, what do you think worked well for you, even if it was just for a little while? Well, when I had support and a plan to follow, I did better. That's really useful to know. It sounds like structure and accountability helped you in the past. What do you think would make this time different if you had the right support? Okay, Carol, when you gave your quick off the cuff example, which no surprise, in your experience and space here, that it would just come so naturally off the cuff, it almost directly mirrored this actual mapped out mock conversation that I had here of motivational interviewing. So yeah, so key.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
can I
Hank,
just
good
throw
morning. Yes,
good morning.
Hank.
I throw a comment in. Remember, questions are the answers. Questions are the answers. That's all you got to remember. Keep asking questions, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I was preparing this morning, I thought a lot of you, Hank, because you very routinely coach that to those of us. And when you mentioned maybe like if you're sitting in a coffee shop with someone, if I picture that, and I think if we went around the horn, what do you picture when Hank is emphasizing what he's doing, like in a coffee shop or just sitting down with somebody, getting to know this new person? You're always meeting new people, you're interested in their lives. And what is in my the picture in my mind is Hank not telling, talking, like I'm doing right now, but rather asking, okay, tell me about this. What prompted you to do this? You know, tell me what makes, you know, let's say the person is Joe. What makes Joe Joe? You know, those types of open-ended questions is what came to my mind in my visual when I was working through this project. So thank you for that, Hank, for that reinforcement that questions are the answers. Well, in the interest of, I guess, having to keep the ball going here, we're going to go to somebody we just heard from, and many of us know her affectionately as a step queen. And so, Kathy, take it away.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So yes, I am affectionately known as the step queen, and I totally embrace that title. So real quick, back in 2018, I was 58 pounds heavier, was diagnosed pre-diabetic, and knew I needed to make some changes. And luckily, I was ready to make the change and found HealthPointe, and have kept the weight off the entire time during COVID and everything. And I want to talk about steps, of course. But when I was doing the program, I'm going to be honest, I did not do 10,000 a day. As we know, that's the goal in HealthPointe, is to get to 10 to 15,000 steps a day. You don't go 0 to 10,000. You'll kill yourself if you try to do that. But at least in your mind, you will. Your body might make it, but your mind will just drive you crazy. But anyway, the majority of the time, during my weight loss journey, I did at least 5,000. 5,000 is definitely key. You got to definitely get yourself up to 5,000 a day and build from there. But probably 5,000 to 7,500. And every once in a while, I did get my 10,000 because I tried to do it, but it wasn't a main focus at the time. And then a couple of years later, I saw a video about the benefits of doing 10,000 steps a day. And clearly it just said, if you walk, just moderate walking, like I'm doing right now, as you can see me going back and forth in my house, you can add years to your life. And I thought, kind of interesting. So I thought, well, let's see if I can do this. So I started. As of today, it is 2 years and 340 days consecutively. We are coming up on that 3-year mark.
Wow. So that's two years just on the brink of 3 years of consecutive day after day without missing a day, 2 years and 340 days of 10,000 steps or more on your pedometer.
Yes, 10,000 or more. Exactly. The other day we were at a Red Wing game and I had a really crappy day at work and didn't have that many in. And I thought, oh, geez, I'm going to have to walk the arena a couple times. And at the end of second period, I looked at my watch and I'm like, oh, I'm at 9,100. I can stay in my seat because I'll get to 900 on the way back to the car. So I ended up with 11,200 that day.
I just love and I think what resonates with all of us, and maybe you'll unpack this a little bit, is, you just said you're at a Red Wings game and your mind went into solution mode. You said you're going to have to walk a little bit around the arena. Maybe unpack that a little bit, because I'm thinking that out of 2 years and 340 days, not every day was just full of the default need to walk 10,000 steps. My guess is that you found yourself at Red Wing games and other office environment settings where you had to either think the day before what you were going to do, or maybe that morning how you're going to do it, or maybe right when you sit down at the Red Wings game, how am I going to do this? And you get into solution mode. Can you help us with that?
Sure. So yes, several of the steps last year were taken inside the Wyandotte Henry Ford emergency room, whether it would be in a cubby with a loved one or outside of the cubby. And then inside the hospital, my husband had some health challenges last year. He had a couple surgeries and we were in and out of the hospital a lot. And whenever I was there, I'm like, okay, I'm doing my steps. I don't know what the rest of the day is going to happen, but I'm not missing this just because I'm sitting in the hospital all day. So I would get up and I would walk. And it's kind of bad, but even ER nurses at And before it wind out, we were there 2 weeks in a row, and I'm in the main hallway walking, and she goes, "Oh, you're getting your steps in again today," you know? So it's pretty funny. But I do want to just give, being solution oriented is very key, especially in this situation, because yes, every day is not, oh, I'm gonna just walk and do my 10,000 steps a day because I have nothing else to do but walk all day. Yeah, no, that's not the case. I'm a very busy working adult mom, and I have a lot of different responsibilities. And so really what I've figured out is a lot of the daytime responsibilities at work, I get up and go to the printer as much as I can. I have an Apple Watch, so it hits me every hour to tell me to stand up. So I will, and just stand up and even just like walk 4 or 5 steps at my desk just to kind of stretch a little. So if you're stuck at a desk all day, set some timers on your watch, or tell yourself, as soon as I finish this task, I'm just going to get up and walk around my desk for a minute. It will help. You need to get that movement. You don't want to sit there all day. If you're stuck on Zoom meetings, that's a different story. Tell yourself as soon as you're off that meeting, you'll get up and walk to the bathroom at least and back. Once you're home, everybody has to prepare dinner. Well, instead of taking everything out of the fridge at once and trying to carry it all and not drop it, take one item at a time and take it over to the counter. It sounds kind of crazy, but if you still need 3,000 steps that night, whether you take them 5 steps at a time while you're getting stuff done, or you're just walking around your house aimlessly for 45 minutes doing 2,000 steps, I like to just get the steps done while I'm doing stuff, so I don't have to aimlessly walk around the house. There are times I have to aimlessly walk around the house because I'm getting this goal. This is who I am. I am the step queen. Okay. So I have a title to uphold. But by getting, just, like I said, just walking back and forth, take one thing at a time and then take it back to the refrigerator, one thing at a time.
Let me ask,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is great. And I think, let me do a little something here. Let's reflect on the trans-theoretical model of change, and we could either you and I, or just collectively us as a group. Let's say that I'm your client, okay, and I'm you gauge where I'm at on that trans-theoretical model of change. You gauge where I'm at. But if and I'm not saying you specifically,
Right.
Kathy, this can be
No, I read it.
David and Carol or anybody. But I'm, checking in, and I'm, saying that I want to, and I truly do. I mean, you're gauging that I truly am committed to the 6-week cycle. I'm committed to, I'm maybe doing well on the food. Maybe I'm doing pretty well on the hydration, but my steps I'm struggling with that. And maybe you know a little bit about my day-to-day life. Maybe you don't, what I do for work or whatever. How would we approach that then with a client or somebody that we're trying to help?
Well, so the first thing I do kind of ask them is, well, what do you do for work? Are you stuck sitting at a desk all day? Because I get that. I'm like, oh, I can never do 10,000 steps a day. I sit at a desk all day long. I'm like, hello, been sitting at a desk for almost 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that excuse doesn't work. I mean,
yeah.
I understand it, because the other day I caught myself. I had not moved from my desk for 2.5 hours the other day because I had something going on that had to get done, and it was beyond stressful, and I got done, and I'm like, holy crap, I got to get up. I mean, I definitely felt like I had to get up,
Yeah. And we have those anomalies, and that's an important thing to recognize too, and I think this is what Carol was hitting on so strongly too, is that, when you're plotting any one day or any 1 hour in a day, that's a dot. But if you connect the dots, is that trend line going down or is that trend line going up? But any day to day, like you say, Kathy, you can have that 2 hours. So what I might suggest is, with a client, again, they're in the driver's seat. There's asking, how do I, I'm struggling. I'm coming in consistently at 3,000 steps. Simply, maybe ask, what is their solution? Versus, I mean, the suggestions can be great, but Mary, what do you think, given your day, what would be some areas that you feel that you could find some solutions? And let them talk. Let them figure it out in their head. Some people might want to go outside and walk. Kathy, I know you don't like the outside and walking, but other people do. So letting them say, what would work for me? And I've had this happen where you just go in your own mind, you're like, whoa, I would never have guessed that as an answer. So Kathy, you're coaching me and I say, I'm an early bird. I know it's dark outside at 5:30 in the morning, but I'm going to get my stuff ready and go out, and I'm going to walk, through my small town, listening to an audio from 5:30 to 6:15 every morning. And you just acknowledge that, hey, that's great. That's great. And support them on that. But what I would come away from that with is I would feel agency. I would feel like I'm taking control of this. I'm in control of my choices, of figuring out my solutions. But at the same time, like you mentioned, having these awareness of these different items, like in an office environment, for example, of how to do that. And we also, like you mentioned about like when you're doing laundry or like what you're doing right now, I think that's a big one. Walking inside the house is a real big one. So, well, anybody else, any thoughts, questions for Kathy? And before we move on to Carol and free money?
Well, speaking of Carol, I also wanted to mention that a number of people I work with, coach with, have situations where they have joint or back problems. They have, at this point, debilitating things, so that they are limited either from pain or whatever. Upon entering the program, they are limited at that point in time, or they feel they are because of pain. And so with that situation, it's meet them where they're at. They're in pain. Okay, so let me ask, how many steps do you think you could put in without being in excruciating pain 24 hours a day to start with? And let's begin there. So that would be a question you could ask them and get them thinking about setting a goal for whatever they could be. It might be 2,000, might be 3,000 steps.
Such a great question.
And then you could ask them, well, let me ask you, because obviously I understand you can't live in pain for the rest of your life. We don't want that. We want to build up. And I believe that as you go through this program, you will start seeing a difference. But let's even show that right now. But let's think, okay, what are the form of exercise do you do either through a physical therapist, if they're in that situation, or you're in your lifestyle? Oh, well, I can do elliptical, or because that's not so much on my back, or I love to swim. So, okay, so that's not walking at this point, but what it is exercise. And so what we can say is, let's add those two things together right now so we have a successful experience of exercise. And let's see how you're doing weight loss, losing weight. How does that sound to you? You think you could build whatever they mention and start with that, and then kind of look at that. And then pretty soon as they're losing weight, they're going to find they can put more steps in, or just maybe they can stretch out more and put more steps in. And boy, if you have a situation like that, you sure do want to, when they send their charts in, address that, wow, you did really, really well on steps yesterday. And as you also went to PT, wow, you are doing awesome. This is really great. And again, you want to keep them in that mental success mode, feeling successful.
Yeah. I'll tell you how much that resonates. I'll just use myself as an example just to illustrate the what you just went through. I literally am in that situation, Carol. My physical therapist, due to a meniscus thing, said, you need to reduce the activity on your knee. You need to reduce the amount of pickleball that you're playing, and you need to reduce this banging, you know, through these 10 to 15,000 or more steps. Not what I wanted to hear, right? Okay. But if you're my coach and you can, I'm listening to your questions. You said, how much, you asked a question, how many do you think you could do? Great question, you know? And, you know, and it's clear in this program, nobody's suggesting you must do this or tell. We're not 10,000 steps, 15,000 steps. You know, Kathy is very clear on that and where she started too, even when she was doing weight loss. But what you just, I'm layering this over my personal experience right now. And I'm going, if Carol's my coach and I'm feeling anxious about this, or maybe like I'm failing, but she leads with empathy and a question and empowers me and says, how many do you think you can do? My answer isn't 10,000 because my PT said no, and I know the pain in my knee when I get that. But then you went with the other question, which is also interesting because, and that was, what else could you do to accomplish some of these types of similar effects? Well, in my case, he's given me split squats, all these different things that I guarantee you give me the pump and more so, but it doesn't have that banging impact. So again, you're asking me those questions and I'm feeling empowered of these solutions given my situation. Now that situation can be pain, like you're saying, or an injury. It could be life situation with kids or live-in parents. It could be work situations of stress or environment, or Kathy, like you're saying, you're stuck in a meeting for 2-3 hours. But I love that, Carol, you know, you just leading with those questions and it's so spot on.
Well, I'll tell you a personal, you know, now that you're giving personal experiences, and I don't know if I even brought this up during our walk and talks. I'll be honest with you, I don't honestly remember. But about, oh, let's see. Well, okay, here's a quick thing. Make sure you're always walking in good shoes and that they're not old shoes. And my tendency is that I just kind of drive forward and I don't pay attention. And so my left knee was starting to feel just a little bit taxed, not painful, taxed. And I looked at my shoes and I thought, oh my goodness gracious, time for a new pair of shoes. And so I went on, I got a very good pair of shoes. And then before that, all that happened when I was going up north and our little great grandson was having his 2nd birthday and they were doing outdoor games. And so one of the games was keeping 2 balloons up in the air. Well, you don't need all this detail, but the bottom line was their backyard, their little fixer-upper beginner home, young couple, and their backyard was like moguls everywhere. If anybody skis, you know what moguls are. Well, I'm keeping these 2 balloons up in the air, and all of a sudden I hit the side of a mogul, and I can hear in my knee a crunch. And I thought, oh, good grief. So I suffered through it, got home. First thing I did was go to my chiropractor, and then we got into solution mode. The second thing that I did chiropractic treatments to make sure that all the blood was going down to the proper source to heal, because that's major inflammation. And then she said, it could be your meniscus, but you know what? Let's just go into repair mode right now, and then we'll address it if it doesn't heal. So we kind of shelved that, and then we addressed the issue. One of the first things I did was I went to our muscle multiplier, and I drank it and still do 3 times a day. Because if you remember me talking about muscle multiplier, I'm not supposed to be walking while I'm talking. Okay. Muscle multiplier, I always say, is like an ace bandage around your joint. And it just really, really holds your joints together. And I thought, well, okay, I need an ace bandage around my knee. So I started drinking that 3 times a day. And continuing to walk, but just more carefully, and just doing the exercises, going to the chiropractor, and gradually it just healed itself. Quite a while ago, it healed itself. So I can honestly say that I believe there's a lot of things that came into play here, but one of the biggest ones for me was to continue with the muscle multiplier because as I said, and I think the Lord just kind of called me and he said, I'm going to give you a personal example so you can tell the folks exactly what you mean. Here's my personal example. I'm not going to talk about this stuff anymore because I don't want anyone to think. But
It is
anyway,
fun that we can just go through life and get these examples and fodder for our coaching. Well, hey,
Sure.
help us understand how we can get muscle multiplier or similar products for free. Show us the money, Carol. Show us the money. We got the teaser out
okay.
there.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop here too. I just want to get into a driveway. Excuse me. You'll have to bear with me, guys. I know that it's not optimal for me to walk and talk at the same time, and and my camera's all over the place. But honestly, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get my steps in. So you have to bear with me.
Right on.
Okay. So first thing I want to do is mention to you that this Tuesday night is HealthPointe, and we have a conflict that we can't get out of on Tuesday night. So since Monday night, we already had Sharon Webb scheduled for the Nutrilite, and she did such an awesome job last month, and she's going to do something very similar to that this month. So we're going to be covering all of the supplementation aspect of why supplementation is so important in either a weight loss program or a healthy living program. And then she's going to also talk about the value of Nutrilite and why it's so different. So we're going to do that this Monday night and kind of wrap Tuesday night into Monday night, which will free Hank and I up for Tuesday night because we, like I say, we've got something we can't get out of. So just to let you know, there will not be a HealthPointe Tuesday night. Sharon Webb will be doing the nutrition portion, and then I'll wrap some other stuff in there for Monday night. And then we'll have our spotlight, who this week will be Dave Munoz. And Dave's got a great comeback story. He's in the process of comeback, doing very well. So just to let you know that. And then the following week, what we decided, since we're not doing a HealthPointe, and I think we need to put more emphasis on it, is our eSpring, because hydration, and in particular pure water, is extremely, extremely important. And I just sold a water purification system to a customer this week. And what it made me realize was it's not just about drinking pure water, but it can be about increasing your health. And there is just so much stuff in water that people don't realize. And they're running around drinking Walmart filtered water, which is absolutely ridiculous, buying the cheapest thing out there. And so what we want to do, we have invited Dr. Connie Zielinski the following week, and she will do her PowerPoint, which she does on our normal HealthPointe. She's going to do that, and we're going to kind of have a focus on eSpring for that particular evening, and then we'll have our spotlight. So to give you a heads up on that. Okay, so what I did want to say is many of you probably got the email. You probably haven't even had a chance to uncover it yet. But our buy 3, get 1 free is over as of last night. And so many of us were working that program very successfully with our HealthPointe clients, building in the non-negotiables into that. And it worked very, very well. What Amway has done is they've taken it to a higher level of even more effective program and more flexible. And it's called buy, repeat, and earn. And you almost all, if you are an IBO, a business owner, you should have this in your email. So read it very carefully. But what it boils down to is this is a program for all products, not just certain bundles. This is for any product that we can order online. It would apply. And so what it is if you buy $150, this is retail or preferred customers. This is not IBOs. Okay. If you buy $150 or more of a product in a month, and then you repeat it for the second month, then in the third month, when you repeat it, you're going to get automatically $75 discount on your third month order. So when and this is for people that order online. So when they go in, and you can, if they don't want to order online, what I do is I just merely get their login information and I place the orders for them. We've got one couple that just places massive, I'm saying massive, Nutrilite orders on a monthly basis. They've never placed an order yet. I just go in there and do it for them. So you can do that. It just has to be that you go in as them and you log in as them with their passcode, and it's their account. So again, simplify, $150 purchase. The first month, that would be before sales tax, I'm sure. $150 the second month of any products. And then the third month, when you place the $150 order, automatically $75 comes off. Now, if you do that with a $200 order for the first and second month, the third month, you're going to get $100 off of your $200 order. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. We are going to still stay with our non-negotiables, which Network 21 has set up, and we're all working it anyway. And that is your XX, your omegas, and some form of protein powder. Now, some people like the protein shakes, some people like the organic powder, some people like the all-in-one. You just have to work with your person on that. I would say the all-in-one is higher in carbs, so you want to address that. But they can pick any protein that they want, and then the fiber. And that order comes to $159.30. Of course, there's no tax on that. So, well, at least in our area, I think in most areas, there's no tax on that. And so anyway, that is really nice. And then what you can do, and what I highly recommend, but it is not something that's part of Network 21's package, is you can add in maybe a box of wellness bars. I love those bars, and I think that they're very great snacks. And we want something that, varying kinds of snacks, but sometimes a bar or a liquid shake is a really good snack that you can carry with you. So if you add the bars, then it's going to bring that order up to 185, which probably you'd want to put one more product in there to make 200. So you can work with your content, your clients, as you see fit. But the basic package is the XX, the advanced omegas, some form of protein. I think we talk about the organic protein powder, and then fiber. And so that's your basic Network 21 HealthPointe package. So hopefully that answers any questions. I don't know, is there any questions out there right now? Or again, you have this in your email. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Just in our remaining couple of minutes here. First, just hitting on your first point, real great on that. I love that you're integrating the Nutrilite into one of the Monday nights, and then the eSpring into another one of the Monday nights. So again, just for those that need the Zoom link for that, just check with your coach and get that. But Monday night, 8 p.m. to 8:30, it's a short half hour. Kind of format is typically an educational segment and then a spotlight segment. Love that, and really excited about David Munoz going to be spotlighted, but love that we've got the component of the Nutrilite in there for this coming Monday, and then the following Monday is about water and water filtration. So super excited about that. And then secondly, on starting today, March 1st, this adaptation of the buy X, get X free. I love this. Excuse me. And so just a couple of clarifying points. It is $150 or more, and you would get us the $75. And or if your orders, and many people, their routine orders are $200 or more, especially when you open up the list of products that they can be buying. Guys, I often refer to with clients, we're setting up a healthy household. Yes, we have targeted products, the Nutrilite, the XX, and so forth. But somebody that's on a health and wellness journey, we're looking at a healthy household. And we've got brands in the nutrition category that it's a #1 selling in the world. Okay. So we're best in class for that. Then we've got this entire skincare, which is, plant informed, Nutrilite informed. We've got an entire category of things to clean products for cleaning around your house, cleaning your teeth, personal hygiene and stuff like that. So now what I'm understanding, Carol, is certainly for the HealthPointe products, but They can be buying some toothpaste and some, things to clean their clothes and so forth, and rounding out that order for the $150. Now, the point of clarification is those $150 probably should be set up on ditto delivery, which is a monthly cycle, often case. I mean, they don't have to, but because is a requirement of this that they are back-to-back months. I'm actually needing some clarification on that.
So what is your question?
My question is, if I place say a $150 plus order today, which is in March, and I don't place an order in April or May, but I place another $150. Pardon me?
It breaks it. It's 3 consecutive.
Okay, so that was my
idea is
question. So it has
repeat.
to be consecutive. It has to, so therefore, getting to the point of the subscription, because these are products you use up, would you advise, for those that want to consider it, that their order that they get set up, maybe do it on ditto delivery?
I think that that's definitely an option when you're dealing with a brand new person. It might take a cycle or so. It might not. It just depends on your relationship with that person, but that's definitely an option. But it's the main thing is the consistency of the ordering, and the consistency of XX and omegas and protein and fiber. And we want them buying all the products. And I'm totally in agreement. And that's why this program is so nice especially to add on. But we do also want to remind ourselves that and we call them non-negotiables, okay? That's our in-house term. But we want to make sure that they have those to effectively have proper HealthPointe cycles where they've got the necessary things. And that's why I even suggested if they're open to perhaps a box of bars in there too. It's not a non-negotiable, but again, what we want is the tools to have an effective HealthPointe cycle. That's the bottom line.
Hey,
So,
Carol or
Yes.
Eric, do the products, if someone is not on HealthPointe and they're not interested in the fiber or whatnot, do the products have to be the same products every
No.
single month?
no, it's
No.
an order. It's an
Gotcha.
order. And person on HealthPointe or not on HealthPointe, this is for all preferred customers, all retail customers. This is not just HealthPointe. What we're talking about right now is HealthPointe, how it relates to HealthPointe and how it flows into the HealthPointe as we're moving out of the buy 3 get 1 free. But no, it's for all orders.
Does that help, Pam? Yep.
Yep.
So Pam. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
thanks.
Cool. Well, in the interest of time and the fact that I've got another meeting after this segment, but certainly in the interest of keeping our walk and talks, Saturday walk and talks, roughly the same time frame. If there's anything pressing in the remaining 30 seconds, chime in. Otherwise, happy March to everyone, and we'll be planning on being here same time, same place next Saturday. And until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.